Well, the Israel-Hamas truce has entered day 4 after 50 days of war and bombardment that has killed thousands on both sides. Joyous but tearful reunions unfolded when people returned home on both sides. Israeli families rejoiced as they welcomed Hamas-held hostages when they emerged after spending 50 days in captivity in the Gaza Strip, while the Palestinian skies lit up after the return of the third batch of prisoners. A 21-year-old Israeli woman had an emotional reunion with her family at a hospital where she is undergoing surgery after her return. She was shot in the leg by Hamas militants on the October 7th music festival attack. The militants kidnapped her along with her brother, who is believed to be one of the many hostages still held in the Gaza Strip. Now, Abigail Edan, a girl who turned 4 last week while being held in Hamas captivity, has become a symbol of hope for the war-torn families. Abigail, whose parents were killed in the October 7th attacks on Israel, was the youngest U.S. citizen held by Hamas, and she has returned home on Sunday. President Joe Biden addressed Abigail's return in a televised remark, saying that what she endured was quote-unquote unthinkable.
זה היה וואו, לא האמנתי עד שלא ראיתי. לשנייה אחת לא האמנתי. עכשיו אני קצת יותר רגוע. לא רגוע לגמרי, כי יש גם שמחה וגם יש את החוסר של רועי וסמדר.
After 49 days in captivity, an 85-year-old woman was embraced by her family. The Holocaust survivor, who was swept away on a golf cart by Hamas militants, is determined to fight for the captives and hostages held in the Gaza Strip. And as per her family, the 85-year-old's eldest grandson, who was also abducted by Hamas, remains in captivity. A 9-year-old Israeli-Irish girl thought to be killed in the Hamas attacks was released by the militant group. She was kidnapped from her friend's house when Hamas militants swarmed into Israeli communities on a deadly onslaught. Meanwhile, on the other side of the border, Palestinians released from Israeli prisons returned to a hero's welcome in the West Bank. These visuals are from the third of the 4 planned swaps under the ceasefire set to expire after today. Palestinian families in Jerusalem were seen rejoicing as their relatives were released from Israeli prisons. Hostages surged on Sunday include teens and younger men, all aged 15 to 19 years. The Palestinians held by Israel were largely accused of public disorder, threatening physical harm to Israeli officers and links to Hamas. Now, shifting focus to international captives released in the latest exchange, Hamas has released 3 Thai nationals who were reported to be in good health. Thailand's Prime Minister has confirmed their return through a social media message on platform X, saying that he was happy over the return. So far, 17 Thai hostages have been released after being kidnapped during Hamas raids in Israel. Families of hostages not slated to release from the Strip in the current truce continue to endure the nightmares. Most of the released on the other side will return to flattened homes in Gaza after the Israeli strikes. The 4th set of people are set to be released from both sides and will join of course, their families, but still many are wary what might follow after the truce has ended. And our correspondent Jody Cohen spoke to the family of the released hostages. She sends us this report.
So I've just spoken with Moshe. Moshe doesn't speak English, but he told me that he's the grandfather of Ofri, Yuval and Uriah Brodetz, ranging in ages from 4 till 10. And he's also the father of Hagar, and all have been released as part of this partial hostage release deal. Now, his son-in-law Avichai had been out defending kibbutz Nahal Oz on the 7th of October when Hamas had infiltrated into the kibbutz. He reportedly came back to discover that his house had been devastated and his family members were missing. For 36 hours, he thought that the family had been killed before hearing that they'd actually been kidnapped along with Abigail Edan. their neighbour, who's 3 years old, who's the US-Israeli citizen, who was also released in this deal yesterday. Now, the family said that they had felt like they had won the lottery when they heard that their family had been kidnapped and not killed, and that's now been magnified with their release. The family is said to be in good condition. Today we're waiting to hear of a further 11 Israelis who are expected to be released as part of this deal, and it remains to be seen if the agreement can be extended and more hostages released. This is Jodie Cohen for WION. World is One.